Ogden Mills. December 18, 1856 – January 29, 1929. Was an American financier and thoroughbred racehorse owner. Early life. Ogden Mills was born on December 18, 1856 in Sacramento, California to Jane Templeton Cunningham and Darius Ogden Mills, 1825 to 1910. His father was a highly successful banker and investor who, upon his death in 1910, left Ogden Mills and his sister, Elizabeth Mills, who married Whitelaw Reid, an estate valued at $36,227,391. As a result of his father's many corporate investments, Ogden Mills would serve on the board of directors of a number of companies, including the New York Central Railroad, Thoroughbred Racing, a member of the Jockey Club. Ogden Mills raced horses in the United States and maintained a racing stable in France in partnership with Lord Derby. Among their successes in that country, they won the 1928 Grand Prix de Paris with the colt Cri de Guerre, bred by Evremond du Saint-Alary. On his death in 1929, Ogden Mills left to his daughter Beatrice, a resident of London, England, married to Bernard Forbes, 8th Earl of Granada, his French racing stable and a home at 73 Rue de Varennes in Paris. That year, Beatrice led all French owners in purses earned. In 1926, their daughter Gladys and son Ogden established Wheatley Stable, which would become one of the preeminent racing and breeding operations in American racing history. Personal life. In 1882, Ogden Mills married Ruth T. Livingston, 1855 to 1920, daughter of Mathurine Livingston, Jr., 1815 to 1888, and Ruth Baylies, 1817 to 1918, a descendant of Thomas Baylies, 1687 to 1756. She was the twin sister of Elizabeth Livingston, 1855 to 1943, who was married to William George Cavendish Bentinck, 1854 to 1909. She was also the granddaughter of Mathurine Livingston, 1769 to 1847, and Margaret Louis, 1782-1860, who was the only daughter and sole heiress of Gov. Morgan Lewis, 1754 to 1844. Together, Ogden and Ruth had 3 children, twin daughters and a son. Gladys Livingston Mills, 1883 to 1970, who married Henry Carnegie Phipps, 1879 to 1953. In 1907, Jane Beatrice Mills, 1883 to 1972, who married Bernard Forbes, 8th Earl of Granada, 1874 to 1948. In 1909, Ogden Livingston Mills, 1884 to 1937, who would become the 50th United States Secretary of the Treasury, and who married Margaret Stuyvesant Rutherford in 1911. After their divorce in 1919, he married Dorothy Randolph Fell, former wife of the banker John R. Fell. In 1924, Mills' wife inherited the Livingston Mansion in Stayattsburg, New York, which the couple used as a summer home and where they raised horses. Ruth Livingston Mills died at their residence in Paris, France on October 13, 1920. Ogden Mills died of pneumonia on January 29, 1929 at the family home in New York City. Ogden Mills was buried with his wife at the mausoleum in St. James's Cemetery in Hyde Park, New York. Philanthropy. Like his father, Ogden Mills was involved in a number of charitable causes, and the Ogden Mills and Ruth Livingston Mills State Park encompasses their mansion at Stayattsburg, New York, that is now Stayattsburg State Historic Site. Mills was instrumental in assisting the state of New York to erect a statue of Robert Livingston, his wife's great-great-great-grandfather. into the National Statuary Hall collection in Washington, D.C., highlighting him as one of the state's two most illustrious citizens. Descendants. Through his eldest daughter, he was the grandfather of Barbara Phipps Janney and Ogden Phipps, 1908 to 2002, and the great-grandfather Ogden Mills Phipps, 1940 to 2016, and Cynthia Phipps, also major figures in the horse racing. Further reading. Ogden Mills' will leaves millions to many institutions. Hartford Courant, February 6, 1929. Bury Ogden Mills near his estate. The New York Times, February 1, 1929.